is now today. The trade deadline, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Our NFL insider Dan Graziano has us covered, and he joins us live. Graz, you have some news. What can you tell us?
Yeah, the trade he's talking about is expected to be for Bengals linebacker Logan Wilson. This according to our Adam Schefter and Todd Archer just a few moments ago. Logan Wilson's a player the Bengals, have not been using as much. He had asked to be traded, and it appears that he will be headed to Dallas as Dallas makes an effort to shore up their defense by acquiring a player from the only defense in the league that has been worse than theirs.
I was going to say this is essentially moving houses in the same neighborhood, but okay. So we heard from Jerry Jones. We heard what he had to say and sort of how he, particulated some of the details of this trade that wasn't yet consummated. But was this, when you talk about addressing one bugaboo for the Cowboys, is one trade strong enough to do that? One trade for one player, I should specify.
Probably not. They did need help at linebacker. There's no question about it. And Logan Wilson's been a good player in the league. He just was losing playing time to a rookie, Barrett Carter, that the Bengals like better. So I think it's a helper, and I don't think the Cowboys are necessarily done. I think they'll continue to have other conversations throughout the day, and maybe they will make another move to get another defensive player. There are players out there that are available. Bradley Chubb of the Dolphins is an edge rusher that I think, would be of interest to them. But they did need to make a move at linebacker, and it appears that they have.
Now, Cincinnati might be able to just sort of prop the door open because there are other Bengals players potentially on the move. What's the buzz that you're hearing around their pass rusher, Trey Hendrickson?
Still hearing as of last night that they were telling teams they do not intend to move on from Trey Hendrickson. He's only signed through this year. Obviously, he had been open in the offseason about wanting a new deal, which he didn't end up getting, or wanting out. But so far, it sounds like the Bengals are asking a high price for Trey Hendrickson. If they lose him in free agency, they could get a good compensatory pick in the 2027 draft. So I think you'd have to make it worth their while by offering something that they would deem more valuable than that if you want Trey Hendrickson. And so far, no one has.
Again, the NFL trade deadline coming your way, 4 p.m. Eastern time this afternoon. Dan
we will review later.
How about the Patriots? They already made a couple trades to get more picks. They have cap space. They have 10 picks in next year's draft. I'm fascinated to see what they're going to do because 7-2 trying to cash in on this thing. Is there a big move up front on defense, at running back, at wide receiver, any of those spots? I think they're a very interesting team. How are they going to keep their foot on the gas?
What would define a big move at those three positions?
That's the thing, right? Could you talk the Bengals out of Trey Hendrickson, given that they've lost 2 games in a row that they should have won? Could you get the Browns to really consider Myles Garrett? Those are big moves. Wide receiver, getting Jacoby Myers back, it would probably help them, but I don't know that that's a monster splash move. We're in the last day, right? We're in the hours before the deadline, and what we've been hearing over the last 24 to 48 hours is a lot like what we've been hearing over the last couple of weeks, which is, they don't want to move him. They're asking this. So what changes here between now and 4 o'clock Eastern? Does somebody change their stance? Does somebody make an offer that gets a team to consider moving a player they weren't considering before? The Patriots are positioned to be a team like that given the resources they have.
Garage, yesterday, Jerry Jones intimated that he had a trade in the hopper. Was that Jerry Jones stirring the pot?
Yeah.
Are they serious shoppers before the deadline? Yeah. Or did last night's outcome potentially influence what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do in terms of how they proceed?
I don't think last night's outcome influenced that. I don't think the Cowboys are ever going to go from being buyers to being sellers at the deadline. It's too important for them to stay prominent and interesting. Jerry's the best there ever was. There's no LeBron versus Jordan debate. This is he is at making you pay attention to his product. Yeah. There is absolutely no one who's ever done it better. He has a Monday night game. He goes out in the afternoon, tells everybody, "Yeah, I got a trade, but I'm not telling you what it is. You're gonna have to stay tuned." And he has the hockey commissioner in. They make the big announcement. Stephen A's in the booth with. I mean, it was just a master class yesterday. If the Cowboys could play defense like Jerry Jones sells, they would be undefeated. He is. So I do think they'll make moves. I think they'll make moves on the defensive side of the ball. I believe him that he has a deal. I don't know whether it's in place or ready to go. We'll probably find out about it this morning or early this afternoon. The defensive players they've been talking about are like linebackers, like a Logan Wilson from Cincinnati, maybe a Quincy Williams from the Jets. Maybe you can get Miami to give you Bradley Chubb if they're moving on from guys, So I think they'll make a move or two on the defensive side of the ball. I guess the question is, would it be enough based on what we saw last night? I don't know that they're a move or two away. Well, Dan,
speaking of the game last night and making moves, do you think Arizona will make a move at quarterback? Will they go with Jacoby Brissett moving forward?
That wouldn't be a move. He's already there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating situation because what they're telling us is that Kyler Murray's still not healthy enough to play. He's out at practice throwing, but they don't feel like he can move around on that foot the way they would need him to. But in the meantime, the offense does seem to be running better with Jacoby Brissett. Mm-hmm. And so what do? Kyler Murray guaranteed almost $37 million next year. If you're going to bench him, you're certainly not going to be able to trade him. Certainly not today, but maybe not even in the offseason. So if they've decided that Kyler's not their guy and that their way to hang in that NFC West is to play Jacoby Brissett the rest of the way, then the question becomes, well, what do you do with Kyler? And when, and what's the exit strategy there? Because I think that there's no going back if that's the move you make. So, yeah, I mean, they continue to say Kyler's our starter when healthy, but, when healthy, I don't know. They might wait until he's, 100 million% healthy and say, in the meantime, we can go with Jacoby because you feel like it's working.
Just as a follow-up, how much does Jonathan Gannon's job security factor into the decision that they're making at quarterback?
Well, I think, it's what gives us the best chance to win games. Like Jonathan Gannon's job security will depend a lot on how competitive they are the rest of the year. And I think the organization can and probably will look at it and say, let's give this administration a chance to find their own quarterback because Kyler Murray was something they inherited. And in the meantime, if you can show that they're competitive, you show you're building the right kind of program. If Jacoby Brissett can plug in and run the offense, and the defense can look as good as it did last night when it got all those reinforcements back.
Nolan was there.
That's his NFL
Calais
debut last night, right?
Yeah.
Calais, how about a career Calais Campbell?
2 sacks
like,
last night.
unbelievable, 39 years old. So, I think if you're competitive, even if you don't get back into that crazy NFC West race, if you're competitive the rest of the way and you show that, all right, look, maybe if you give us a chance to find and groom our own quarterback, we can build this into something. I think those guys get a chance to do that.
Graz, you predicted it correctly. Per Adam Schefter and Todd Archer just coming across here, the Dallas Cowboys are, let me rephrase this.
Logan Wilson.
Graz reported it correctly, not predicted.
Yeah.
He reported it correctly. I apologize. The Dallas Cowboys are finalizing a trade to acquire Bengals middle linebacker Logan Wilson. Sources tell Adam Schefter and Todd Archer, our Cowboys reporter. We know what this says about the Cowboys because we've been talking about them, right? That they're going to add defensive help. This is not a break the bank, give up a first rounder kind of pick. This is we need help now, and this can be something now and later.
Yeah.
Fine. What does this tell you about the Bengals?
Well, I mean, their defense is so good, they probably have a lot of spare parts, right? That they can just say, no. Look, Logan Wilson was not a big part of what they were doing on defense this year anyway. He is a guy that asked about a trade in the offseason, and again, recently, I don't think they've saw him as a scheme fit. They didn't want to extend him long term. This is one that's been coming for a while. I don't think this means the Bengals are giving up on their season. I think this is a player that even if the Bengals had managed to win their last 2 games, still would have been on the trade block.
Adam did text.
Oh, good.
No, 11. So there's a big Schefter, I didn't realize this about him, how competitive he is. I guess I should have.
Yeah.
So he said on our show weeks ago that there was going to be at least 12 trades between the moment
and this is 11?
So he just texted me the number 11. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
So he needs one more.
Yeah, he needs one more to tie. He needs one more to win.
I like his chances.
Yeah, we're going to get at least
between now and 4 o'clock.
Yeah, he's got it.
Is there one player that is somewhat of a name that you would be really surprised if they're still on the same team by 4:01 Eastern as they are right now?
Well, I think Jacoby Myers. I mean, I think that's the most likely of the receivers to move. I don't think the Saints want to move Chris Olave. I think there's chatter in Dallas outside the building. Like, should they move on from George Pickens if they're not going to sign him? Should they get something for him?
Yes.
The Cowboys have told me in no uncertain terms they're not going to do that.
But they should.
I agree, but or they should sign him, right? Or I mean, I guess they could franchise him, but no, they feel like that's something they have that's good and that'll keep people watching.
Graz, Packers lost. That was the worst so